Thanks for listening to the Career Planning Show, where you discover how to make career choices that are aligned with your talents, strengths, and purpose in life, and how to get your dream job. This show is about who you are, what you were born to do, and how to get there. Subscribe now. We publish a new episode every Monday. Our guest today is Alex Goldstein, a certified protection professional and a certified information systems security officer, who is the owner and principal consultant of GV Group, a physical security and risk management consultancy firm. Alex has over 15 years of progressive experience servicing the Canadian public sector and private security industries. Alex and I have known each other for 19 years. He was my first friend in Canada, and he continues to be one of my closest friends. Connect with Alex Goldstein via www.mygvsolutions.com or find him on LinkedIn by searching for Alex Goldstein Security Consultant. Welcome to the Career Planning Show. I'm Alex Rashkanu, and with us today is Alex Goldstein. How are you, Alex?
Hi, Alex. Good. And yourself?
I'm very well. Let's get right into it. When you were a child, what did you dream of becoming when you would grow up?
So, when I was a child growing up in Ukraine and then in Israel, both societies were very heavily focused on technical skills, on acumen that leads you to mathematics, engineering, physics, and so on. These were the skills that were so highly valued. I did not have any such skills, or the skills that I did have, they were very, very limited. And it was a challenge for me to explain mostly to myself as a kid growing up how I can be valuable, how I can make a difference in a society that did not value speaking, that did not value theoretical approaches, philosophy, history, and so on. So
Was there a particular job that you saw someone do when you aspired to it, or does anything on those lines come to mind?
Yeah. So growing up, I've seen police officers on the streets, and I felt like I wanted to do something for society, to help people, to help people who are hurt, to help people in crisis. But I did not necessarily want to run around and do street work. I wanted to do something more long-term, like to propose long-term solutions, to fix things and for them to be staying fixed, as opposed to keep going to the same crime scene, same issues, dealing with probably pretty much the same people all the time. And so policing necessarily wasn't for me at the time.
Yeah. Was there something in the environment that you were in, whether in Ukraine or in Israel, or once you moved to Toronto, Canada, that really stirred something in you?
Yeah, I felt like in Canada, compared to the other countries, there is more equal weight to how various skills are valued. And so some of the things that I thought about and some of the things that I wanted to do and some of the things that I was good at, all of a sudden I found people that supported me and people that were interested in listening to solutions to problems, right, to different ways of thinking. There was more acceptance into how I felt, social issues should be approached, and various crime problems could be resolved.
Thank you so much. And from having gone through some of those experiences and aspiring to a career where you would, in one way or another, protect others, how did some of those ideas and those experiences translate into what became your career in the security industry?
So, in my path, then, when it became clear to me, sometime in high school, that I wanted to be in the protective field. I started thinking, well, what's next, what I can do. And so I started working as a security guard because that's the entry level. That's where you start when you want to protect people. You can't just go to the police force when you're young and you have no experience, no life experience, no work experience. And so I was really grateful for the opportunity to work in several guarding companies to get field level experience in protecting facilities, or protecting people, information, and so forth. But it was as a security guard that I gained my first experience, and that oriented me to it sort of validated my thought that this field is for me, and education should be next, right?
And education, so you end up doing history and criminology undergrad at York University. How was that experience, and how did that contribute to your next steps?
Well, after a few years of criminology, I became one of the most educated security guards on the field in my division, because I could explain some of the patterns of break and enters into shopping malls by just very simple crime theory, which I have been learning about and writing about in second and third year of university. And it became a thing where, okay, if enforcement is for me and security is that field of enforcement, because by then in mid-university or in like at the end of high school, beginning university, I realized I didn't want to do policing at all. And so there's other fields within enforcement that are out there. There is corrections, there is social services, there is traffic. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, but I specifically chose security. And then I started aligning my educational ambitions within criminology to continue to support my growth in security. The research papers I chose to write, the kind of classes I took within the criminology program, they were oriented towards the security field, and that's so that when I graduate, I can move on from being a security guard. And
I know that you also took some time to serve with Department of National Defense in the reserves. How was that experience?
It was a very good experience, and it was a very long one. It was 11 years with the Canadian Forces Military Police. And I know I keep saying I didn't want to be in policing. The military police is not really traditional policing. It's more, it has to do with protective services and security of military bases, military people, and military equipment. And so after a few years of being a security guard and towards the end of my university time, I wanted to get the next level of work experience. But there is this big gap between being a security guard and being a security manager. And very, very few, if any, people can just be promoted from being a security guard to a security manager. And so I felt that there is that gap that I need to fill, and I found that the military, joining the military, other than making my dad proud and making my family proud, because I am from a family of military servicemen in all different countries, that I would actually use that as a bridge to get to management, to get to executive levels, and so forth. So I use that experience to just make those connections, gain that extra knowledge, the extra skill, so that I can build myself a stronger foundation for continued career experiences.
That's great, Alex. And so going from there, you've also had the opportunity to do physical and information technology related security work in the private sector, and then in different public sector organizations like the Ontario Coroner's Office. Would you mind speaking about some of those experiences and perhaps some lessons that you've taken away that might be helpful for someone listening?
Yeah, and this is important. So following my and I don't really want to go chronologically here and step by step, but essentially after my university and towards the mid to the end of my military policing, when I was in the reserve, so it's kind of switching to part-time military and so on. I did get my first security management position. It was in a horse racetrack and casino. I worked in that for a few years, and then went on to manage security guards. Then went into Corners complex to manage security there. Throughout all of these experiences, I've learned that the field that you are in, and the more you can do in your field, the more interesting and exciting workplaces you can find yourself in. And it makes your life more interesting, makes your life experience so much richer. You can tell a lot of stories about the places that you have worked, and it makes a difference, right? Obviously, with more experiences come more financial rewards, because you're able to take on experiences that you have gained in one place, bring them to a new place, and really open the eyes of your management, of your executives, as to how things are done in other places. So it was really, really helpful. And one other thing because I'm so focused on security, it wasn't always the case in the last 16 years. There was a time where, and this can happen to anybody, where you're saying, I kind of want to do something else. I've been here for so many years. And so I had that period in my career where I said, you know what, maybe I should do something else. I need a change. So an opportunity came for me to take on an IT role. And this is completely separate, nothing much to do with security. And there's two things to learn from that. One is that as much as it's different, you're still dealing with human experiences. You still deal with corporate organizations. And a lot of this experiences that I've had in working in physical security, managing security, somehow I was able to bring them and apply them successfully to my role as enterprise IT deployment manager within the province of Ontario. And it was really interesting to shift the focus of the organization to think IT security as opposed to just servers and data and all of that stuff. So it does help. And I think that for a lot of people, there will come a time. For some, it will come earlier, and for some, it will come later, where you say, you know what, I've been doing this for so long, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. This is boring. And you should do that other thing, because you can always come back to your field. Your field is not going to run away from you. If you're really good at it and you believe in it, you come back and you make the field richer. And that's what happened to me. Eventually, after a few years in IT, I realized, okay, this has been fun, but it's not my thing. I want to go back to security. And now I came back a much more qualified or broad horizoned service provider, right? Employee, manager, whatever you call it, with IT experience. And I was really able to talk to people differently, right? Much more differently than I was just with security experience and nothing else.
Yeah. So going from simply physical security experience to having the information technology aspect of security added onto it, which makes it a lot more comprehensive. So as someone perhaps is thinking of making a switch from their role or their industry to try something different that perhaps they'll be more passionate about, something that they've been dreaming about for a long time. Is there a train of thought that you have around how somebody can think through what their strengths are, what their talents are, how to identify what their mission can be in the workplace? How do you think about that for yourself? Because it could be potentially helpful for someone else as well.
Yeah. So unlike many thinkers on this topic to whom I listen, whose opinion I very much value, I think that there comes a point where you're starting to search inside yourself and think about, well, what am I good at? What do I want to do? What do I need to do? I think that the more level-headed approach is not to search for it forever, but set yourself a time limit for this search. And when you set yourself a time limit to search inside yourself and take all these online tests and go speak with career counselors and speak to people, speak to family, friends, and everyone else that's going to help you kind of orient yourself, give yourself a deadline by which you must find yourself something that you want to do. What that will do is it will do two things. One is it's going to encourage you to search faster and search harder and search more efficiently. And two, it's going to give you some peace of mind or security that at the end of this, you will find something. And even if it's not the best, even if it's not the thing, at least it's going to set you on a path that's going to give you experience. Eventually, when you're more established, when the foundation is there, and you have more time to think through it while you're already employed, already working in a decent job, right, making some decent income, setting your roots or whatever you want to do, you can always revisit where your interests lie. And then you will never feel guilty for taking the wrong path. Or, I should have thought more and, I should have been a chef, right? Because you can always be a chef, right? You can always do other things. But it's important from the beginning to set yourself that time so you don't waste too much time overthinking this and being always unsure. Because especially in the beginning, I don't regret that. I think that time is of the essence. And you got to start and you got to have those deadlines.
Thank you so much, Alex. Good thoughts on this. Two final questions. One of them, how would you describe the work that you're doing right now? There's a lot of facets to the work that you're doing. Can you walk us through some of the initiatives that you've been undertaking recently and some of the areas in which you're focusing on?
So my company, GV Group, Incorporated, we're a security consulting firm. We're a team of 10 people. We work across the country. We work in Canada as primary market, and we have projects and presence in the United States, South America, and Europe. We don't have any in Asia and Africa just yet. We're working on that. And what we do is we provide security assessments to buildings. So condos and apartment buildings where there are crimes are happening, and issues, we go in and we tell people how to protect themselves. We tell property managers how to keep their residents and their tenants secure. We advise companies against to protect themselves from break-ins. We advise colleges and universities how to protect students, how to protect their property from being vandalized and stolen, and how to minimize harm to students, including prevention of sexual assault, mass shootings, and so on. We advise churches, mosques, synagogues, and all that, all the religious facilities, and how to protect themselves, how to build security plans for themselves. We do policy and procedural reviews. So when companies need a security plan, need to figure out how to protect people that work 9 to 5, or how they commute to work, how they work on weekends, the laptops that they take home and stuff. We help companies create those plans and help to protect people. We do a lot of training, security awareness training. We do situational awareness training to enable people to, we don't teach them combat skills. We just teach them how to negotiate their way out of crisis, right? How to protect themselves, whether they're walking in a parking lot, whether they're being attacked on a bus, or any such other situations. And we do some technical work. We do systems design, where to place cameras, how many alarm systems need to be put on anywhere, and so forth. So various
aspects of
various aspects of security, various industries as well. We're very heavily involved in the cannabis space in Canada. We've helped over 400 clients to build secure, compliant cannabis grow operations, and they got their licenses. We're very proud of that. We work in the telecom space. So TELUS is a very big client of ours for all their data centers and so on.
And out of all the client work that you've been doing over the last few years, is there one project that you worked on that you're really passionate about, and one project, once you completed it, you just felt such joy for having been able to help that organization really take things to the next level, or Would you mind speaking to that?
I think I'll give an example of one of the happiest moments in my career, and it was when I was a security manager at George and Downs. I was managing a small team of security guards, and it was Saturday night, late at night. It was a race night. It was actually after the races were over, and
horse racing.
Yeah,
right?
it was a horse racetrack, and the horses finished all the racing, and people in the bars and in the clubs were starting to go home, and we had a security guard that called in sick, and he couldn't come to work, and we couldn't get anybody to replace him for the night shift. And he was working at the horse barns. It's very dirty, very muddy, right? The smell, right, because of the horses and all that stuff. And there is me on a Saturday night. It was midnight, going in my suit and tie and shoes right into the horse barns to take shift for this young security guard that couldn't make it. And one of his duties was to secure property in the barns, which means that he had to take wheelbarrows of horse manure into the building because you need to keep it inside for the night. Otherwise, you can have environmental contamination, rodents and whatnot. So so you see me, and I'm with my suit and tie and nice shoes, picking up this wheelbarrow and wheeling in a load of horse manure into the barn. And the weather was it was a little cold. I was looking at the sky, and I'm thinking to myself, this is probably the funniest or happiest moment in my career, right then and there. And I was surrounded by a great group of people, a great group of security guards that reported to me various places in the racetrack. They were there. We were all communicating on radio. It was such an insignificant, moment in terms of what I was doing, bringing in barrels of horse manure into thing. But it really made me quite happy that day as to this is really cool. How much better can it get, right? So years from then, with all the massive projects that we delivered, right, the security of colleges, of college campuses, figuring out how army bases could be better protected, right? Looking at deployment of security guards, the rapid response teams, because people are in crisis, strikes are going on, right? People need protection, right? All of that stuff. And obviously delivering late night designs of systems for integrators to put into place. You go back to some of these buildings and you look at it, you know what? We made a difference here. We really made a difference. But nothing really beats that night with the horses. So that's my story.
Thank you so much for sharing, Alex. I always enjoy listening to your stories. So final thought, is there a resource that comes to mind that you found helpful over the years as you progressed in your career? Is there a book or a website or a person who inspired you, or is there anything that comes to mind when we're talking about a resource relating to career planning, career progression?
I think there are multiple resources, and this is now going back some years, and I'm not sure that some of these websites whose names they escape me. I don't even know if they're still around or if they're valid anymore, because approach to careers when I was growing up was very different. This is pre-financial crisis of 2008, and the workforce was viewed very differently back then, and it's obviously viewed very differently now in the middle of the coronavirus and what's going to happen after we're all done. I think it's a combination of having trusted friends, parents that can probably tell you what you're no good at, and then you can kind of take their opinion and do with it what you may. You can follow it, you can ignore it, maybe do the anti-parent piece. right? In terms of books, I think it's just the street level knowledge, your colleagues, right? Looking at your colleagues and your coworkers at the entry level jobs, at the mid senior level jobs, wherever you go, right? And thinking, especially at the entry level areas, do I want to be here? In 5 years, how hard do I need to work to get out of here, right? Because if I don't work hard, I'm going to be like this for many years to come. And I want to be better, right? I want to do better. And this was my driving force. This was my push. Working as a security guard, starting out, right, and working with people who. And some of them came from different backgrounds, and for some of them it was their very first job in Canada. So they also worked as hard as anybody to get out of entry-level positions. But there were some people that were just comfortable in those positions. They were there for years and years, and they kind of aligned their lives around, I'm a security guard or whatever else. And there's a lot of it's very honorable to be a security guard. It's just that, if you believe that you can contribute to the industry, contribute to society more than just to be a security guard, you should definitely look at those other security guards and say, you know what, I'm going to work very hard to be better than this position. I want to do better, and watch me do it, kind of thing.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for listening to the Career Planning Show. We publish a new episode every Monday. Subscribe now via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcasting platform. Learn more about the show and submit your career planning related questions at rascanu.com/career planning. That's RASCANU.com/career planning.